back. Bruner with me is Trevor Land, Janet Wilson, Luke Reimer. Interesting week. We had two guys here. Trevor and Luke were at the game. One remembers the entire game. Luke just found out he was at the game, so he looks pretty excited about it. He didn't know.
How many times did you see Shamar?
Good times.
I saw him at least once on the field.
There you go. I'm not even sure how many snaps he played, but I'm sure you saw him. You pointed him out. I will say, what were there fights?
Yes.
No? Okay.
But it was between two Packer fans. At the end of the game, between a man and a woman, and the woman had the high ground, and she was like on her back, like trying to kick the guy, and it was just like 3 rows down in front of me. And before I could figure out what was going on, it already got broken up.
Boo.
Damn.
So it wasn't anything crazy.
No fun.
Let me tell you, I almost threw. Somebody said as they were leaving, they almost threw hands in the name of equality. There was a Seahawks woman fan.
I like that.
Who would just yell very loud right in our ears for even like a tackle for the Seahawks. And it was getting close. We had a lot of drunks there that were ready to go for it. But I was right in the middle, so that was reassuring.
I will say something that the cheese curds were extra good on Sunday.
Are you sure they were extra good, or you were extra drunk?
I don't know. In my defense, we started tailgating at 11, and
probably paid $25 for some cheese curds.
Right. Played a lot of games, and when you get going a little bit, whatever. Move on.
So I have a question to lead in person, like at games, right? Like not on social media. Like if you're at a game, are Seahawks fans the worst fans? I think they might be.
Are we talking in all of sports?
All of football, I'll say, because they are for sure the most annoying.
Have you ever been to a Cowboys game?
I have, and at least they give up on their team halfway through.
At AT&T Stadium?
Yeah, unfortunately.
They threw beers on us.
I think Vikings fans are worse, personally.
You live over there, though, Zach.
Yeah, especially when I lived up on Lake Superior, too. It was pretty split, 50-50. My biggest problem with them is they're so stupid, where they just seem like they seem so sure of themselves that they know what's going on. And that irritates me more than anything. They're not like the ignorant or like arrogant fans. They're just like, what have you guys done in the past 5 years? Haven't won a Super Bowl. It's like, you've never fucking won a Super Bowl. What are you talking about? Like, that kind of shit makes me so angry.
I had that same treatment when I lived in La Crosse for 5 years. A lot of the fans it seemed to be more inclined to see the Packers lose and the Vikings win. So that's just thrown out there. But Trevor, I'm saying I think football, it's a Seahawks Vikings right up there. But if you're talking all of sports, it's the Los Angeles Lakers fans.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Probably. I will say the Vikings fans at the wild card game way back when they had Webb as their quarterback because Christian Ponder hurt his whatever.
Great pick.
They did bet $500 on Blair Walsh to get the first points in the game and left at halftime when it was like 10-0. So they're definitely up there.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Cowboy fans trashed my car because I had the decal in the back, and they completely trashed it. They threw trash all over it in a milkshake.
I feel like Texas is just a different animal as a state, though.
True.
All I'm hearing is you got a free milkshake and free beer, and I'm looking at this differently than I think you should be.
What an optimist. That's why you're here. Thank God.
That's Trevor. You know me. Let's talk about this Packers defense, baby.
And how was I supposed to drink that beer? I was supposed to slurp it off of my bib?
Zamboni.
Just ring it out, Ring it out above. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the defense, Trevor, since I assume you were amongst the other people on Twitter that did the stupid Joe Barry apology form thing, right? I assume that was you. Did you start it? Did you create it?
No.
Oh.
Really? Later on, I will have a message for said morons. But
go for it.
I have that in the chamber. So dropped it. Great start. The Packers have played 10 games, right? They're 8-2. Their defense is great. We have played only 3 teams that are currently in the playoff hunt. Like, in current playoff spots, I feel like nobody's talking about this. And technically it's 4, but I'm not counting the Chiefs because, well, we didn't have Aaron Rodgers. It's a completely different game. In those 3 games, we beat Pittsburgh by 10. You talk about that blocked field goal that was whistled for offsides. That alone can do a lot. Arizona won by 3. Good win. And then New Orleans lost by 35. So I'm not saying like, hey, this defense shouldn't be this good, right? They shouldn't be playing well. But what I am saying is that to act like this team is Super Bowl and has an elite defense when they've played 3 playoff teams in 10 weeks is ludicrous.
Hey, shout out that guy, that Pittsburgh fan on Twitter who was coming at me, a Pittsburgh fan from Philadelphia. Tell me how that works for that blocked field goal. But whatever. Trevor, I agree with you. I don't think the defense is as great as people think it is. I think there are players who are playing good on defense, but once it all comes together, it'll be great. It seems to me that guys are having great weeks here and there, and then another guy comes. This is also down Zadarius Smith and Jair Alexander, which obviously adds a lot to a defense. So yeah, Trevor, I'm in the same boat with you. It's kind of tough to judge, playing all the bottom feeder teams, I guess you could call them, with a defense that, plays well at times and plays poor at times, especially against Taylor Heineke.
Taylor Heineke's great. Janet, are you in agreement with those two about the Packers defense, or are you more optimistic? What side do you line on?
Well, I do believe that this was a game of defenses, and I think that's why the score was completely terrible. And I'm gonna be completely honest. I fell asleep during the first quarter, so me and Poma just took a cat nap, and then we woke up and the score was the same. So we didn't miss out on much. But I watched one of the pressers. I think it was Devontae, and they asked him, which he denied, but I think it does play a big role. They asked him if he thought that because there were so many guys that are out and then coming in, that they're not all on the same page. So I kind of agree. Like, I feel like they are not on the same page because they're just coming out and in, but yeah, no, I do think it was a good defense game, but none of the offenses showed up, so it was just defense playing against each other. So I believe that, yeah, defense had a good game, but the offense wasn't present on either side. So I don't know. It was a really sloppy game too. It was really sloppy, but yeah. So don't ask me anything about the first quarter because me and Puma took a cat nap.
Again, lucky you. And it seems like Luke did as well. And as long as he got his rest, that's all I care about.
For other reasons.
With his eyes open.
I did not get my rest, I'll tell you that.
He was resting with his eyes open.
Yeah. With the offense, I'm really not worried. Like, to your point with people coming in and out, like Rodgers didn't play with those receivers in 2 weeks. Like, he didn't play with Devontae the week before that. Like, it's been a long time since he's played with them. I think that's whatever. And they just didn't establish a rhythm. There's ways to do that. They didn't do it. I think they'll do it this week. It'll be fine. Defensively, to your point, Trevor, they haven't played very many good teams. And people like to go down the list. They beat Kyler Murray. They beat Patrick Mahomes. They beat Russell Wilson, which sounds great on paper. Obviously, Kyler Murray, we know my opinion on him. If you think he's an MVP, fine. I certainly don't believe so. Patrick Mahomes clearly out of sync with that offense at that time, and there was missed plays. There were plays there to be made, and neither team made them, and it wasn't a product of the defense. But whatever, they're playing good. And then this week, Russell Wilson clearly bad. I think it was more of a bad offensive game plan and strategy for them. But this is the thing. Like, the Packers defense has been playing good. Defense has been playing good. They're fine. They've been doing better than I thought. But we need to stop acting like, oh, look at what the secondary is doing. They're playing amazing. Look at this strategy, this scheme that Joe Barry put into place. he blitzed maybe twice the entire game. They just sat back on every zone. Do you think that's a strategy? I think it's just because of what Seattle was doing, and Seattle never made them pay. And the biggest reason why the Packers have been able to do this all season long is look at the running backs that the Packers have played every week. We played Seattle this week. Seattle got basically 5 yards every carry. They abandoned the run. Week before that, they played the Chiefs, no running game. The week before that, they played the Cardinals. They barely ran it. Week before that was Antonio Gibson. Week before that was the Bears. Week before that was Joe Mixon, who got hurt and was banged up. Week before that was the Steelers, who couldn't run. Week before that was the 49ers, who struggled to run. Week before that was the Lions, who struggled to run. Like, if no team's willing to run or able to run against a defense, the NFL's cyclical. This is what we see. They just sit back, run two safeties high, force everything in front of them, force offenses to run the football or to dink and dunk and take 2, 3, 4 yard gains. And Seattle refused to take a 2, 3 yard gain. Like I sent a video to Trevor, Gerald Everett wide ass open. They refused to do that. Like they refused to take those stupid gains. They refused to run the football. That's how you beat the Packers. And as soon as the Packers play a good running back, there's going to be a lot of people be like, like what happened to the Packers defense? Because that's how you beat these types of teams. That's what the trend around the league is. And because everybody went away from the run, went away from investing in the run, that's why you see these defenses succeeding now. That's why you see the Tampa Bay defense succeeding. You see all that. Everyone's running that Tampa 2 concept, and it's working because not everybody has Derrick Henry or Jonathan Taylor.
I think that Ravens game in a couple of weeks is going to be something.
What about this week?
Yeah, and this week, I guess, too, right?
We'll get into that a little bit. It's a scary game.
The big thing that I think Luke and I probably saw, depending on how many Metcalfs you were seeing out in the field, Luke.
Well, he was ejected and then came back in, man. That really confused me.
That's true. But there were a couple plays, like, to your point, the Packers sat back and they made him throw. There were a couple plays when Metcalf was wide open over the middle. Like, and I'm not talking, 5 yard slant. I'm talking 15, 20 yards downfield. You might not see that on the TV because he's out of the shot, but he was wide open. And I was thinking, oh boy, we're screwed. And Russell Wilson is on Tyler Lockett on a tough pass to the outside, and it made no sense. So, to your point, Zach and Luke, you both talked about it last week before the game. This team, if they don't score more than 40 yards, they're not going to score on you. And it certainly seemed like during the game, that's what they were looking for all game. They didn't want to take what the Packers gave them. They wanted to take what they wanted to take. And so, the defense did great, yeah. But there were a lot of plays that could and should have been made if Russell Wilson is just looking and if he's just throwing like a normal quarterback.
Yeah, kind of going off of that, I don't know if this is what you guys thought too, but it seemed like to me Seattle tried to unleash Russell Wilson right away and get him back into like the Russell Wilson that everyone knows, rather than working back in the offense a little bit. Like you said, Zach, Seattle got 5 yards rushing on basically every single carry. They seemed like they wanted to do the classic Russell Wilson, just put the game on his shoulders, and that was not the way to win this game, obviously. But Trevor, you're right. It's a weird situation where Wilson only looks to Lockett, at times, especially on third and longs, even second and longs. Like DK Metcalf isn't even getting looks at times, and I think that's the downfall of the Seattle offense. It's not really Packer related, but I think that's what hurts Seattle's chances going forward. Is if Russell Wilson can't connect with DK Metcalf a couple times in these next couple games, Seattle, I think they're missing out on the playoffs pretty quickly here.
Well, I think they connect this week, but I don't even necessarily think that's the issue. I think DK Metcalf's a bitch, and I think he's the most overrated wide receiver in the entire NFL. Like,
check my name.
Yeah,
he needs a real pacifier, not just a stupid ass mouth guard one.
I think he's so limited in his skill set. I think he's an athletic freak, and I think that has carried him a long way. I don't think he's skilled in the slightest. I think, I just think he is what he is. Seattle makes no sense, and what they're doing is they're bending over for Russell Wilson at every turn, because this past offseason, he wanted to get traded because they took away his power, and then he got it back, so they're letting him do whatever he wants this year. And I think Russell Wilson may be one of the most talented throwers of the football. I think his decision making is trash. I think his game planning pregame in that sort of schematic decision making is trash, and it's showing up. Either they run guys on a go route 40 yards down the field and he's targeting them there, or he's throwing passes at the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage. There's nobody running underneath routes.
Plays
like
Madden.
we saw, he plays Madden. Like if Everett was doing that, and that's why he had like 8 catches or something, he could have had 15, 20 catches in the game because he's wide open every play. They have Dwayne Eskridge, who came back this week against the Packers, really talented electric rookie who's great in space. If you run him on a crossing route every play, they would be insane. Because you have to respect DK Metcalf deep. You have to respect Tyler Lockett deep because of how good Russell Wilson is. Run the safeties out, run someone underneath, and the Packers would be no one would have bought any of these shares because the Packers would have lost by 50 points. They would have been horrendous. Congratulations to you. But
I waited for 6 hours.
What a decision. But it's not a defensive thing. The defense played good. That's great. Think Seattle, in my opinion.
Yeah. I will say after this, the cracked bone or whatever, the dislocated little part of his finger that Russell Wilson had, made it seem like he was the Messiah coming back. The Seattle fan, shout out to the 19 hours a day rehabbing, but the Seattle fans, the Seattle fans behind me were not getting very happy that I kept yelling, Geno Smith would have scored points by now.
Yeah, I did the same thing too. Maybe you were the one who I heard in my ear. Because I said at the start of the game as a joke, Russell Wilson's washed. And then by the third quarter, I was like, oh, maybe. I don't know about you guys, but it felt like the pistol formation that they did to protect his hand just took him out of a rhythm.
Yep.
I said the same thing. We had a Twitter space thing afterwards, and I think if Geno Smith would have played, I think the score would have been higher for them. I don't think it would have been a shutout if he would have played.
Completely agree. Completely.
I will say that after his Messiah talk and his 19 hours of rehab, Russell Wilson's quickly growing on Luke's shit list here.
Ah, shoot. We did talk about who's number 2. Maybe that's a teaser for the end of this one. Yeah. Some notes from the game. I think the interior defensive line for the Packers continues to carry this entire defense.
Yeah.
I think Kenny Clark has been playing so good. He had a bad game. I think he got banged up, but he was bad against the Chiefs early. But he came back this week and he collapsed the pocket and he did a lot this game. I thought Preston Smith did a super good job on the outside. I think people really need to give him credit. He's been so good this year, in my opinion. But yeah, I just wrote down Seattle's running the ball efficiently, and then they go away from it immediately. I wrote down Seattle's play design is horrendous. Nobody in the middle of the field. Rodgers and his receivers not in sync. I wrote down a really terrible receiving day for Allen Lazard.
Horrible.
He was horrible. He dropped everything. He was not good.
Zach,
aftermath of COVID, maybe.
Yeah, I just want to touch back on that Kenny Clark and kind of the inside defensive line play. Isn't it crazy how much disruption causes when you push a center back even an inch? You can't run the ball. The quarterback is already getting stepped on as soon as he gets the snap. This is how important defensive tackles are. Stunts from defensive ends coming inside. And I do think that Joe Barry and Kenny Clark and all. The defensive line, they've been running very well. Dean Lowry played well against Kyler Murray. Just winning that line of scrimmage by 1 to 2 inches makes such a big difference.
I was even cheering because they announced the defense instead of the offense. Can't tell me that wasn't planned. I cheered for not Kyle Lowry. Jesus, Dean Lowry. That's how much changed. I had to cheer for him. It's weird this season. Gary gets so much love, right? Kenny Clark, people are saying, yeah, he's good. People aren't looking.
So
he's
good.
been a monster. In years past, he was always so good in December, but never really early in the season. He's been December Kenny Clark the whole season, and we're seeing what that looks like. That contract is so worth it.
Agreed. Without him pressuring in the middle, there would be it would be a completely different defense. We talked about it in the preseason. what is one injury that could take down this entire team? And I said, at least on defense, it would be Kenny Clark. And I think it's proving to be true. I think he's been amazing. To your point, Luke, like pressuring quarterbacks up the middle and collapsing the pocket there. That's a nightmare for them. That's why they needed to do it against the Chiefs with Kyler Murray. Like, if you can pressure up the middle and contain on the outside, they can't step up into a throw. They can't get any rhythm. They have to move left or right to figure it out. The only quarterback, literally, who's been able to maneuver the pocket and do that good a job is Aaron Rodgers. Like, it doesn't matter where the pressure comes for him. He somehow gets out of fucking everything, except for the pick that he threw, where he somehow escaped a sack and then got popped and threw it.
That was a Brett Favre throw.
It was a Brett Favre throw. It was a bad decision. People are still acting like he didn't get hit when he threw it, and people are acting like he didn't evade a sack beforehand. People are acting like it was a clean pocket. He licked his finger, tested the wind, and lobbed it up. Like, that's not what happened. He got popped, and he made a bad decision.
The one good thing I will say, dare I say, the Packer fans, at least in section 104 near rows 52 and seats 13, 14, they actually seem to get that. Like boos are like, you son of a bitch. It was just a bad decision, which is good. Because like you said, like going back to the New Orleans game, Aaron Rodgers said it himself. He got hit with two fists in a very, interesting area, and people were like, "Oh, it's a bad pass. You should have made that." But it's nice to see that people and that it wasn't Rodgers being washed, which you would think that's what the storyline would have been.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. There's been some national media doing that, obviously, talking about how, whatever. But it is what it is. It was, to your point, like, it's just one of those plays where you just put your hands up in the air and be like, oh, well, he never makes these plays. I trust he's not going to do it again. It's just bad.
Shout out to everyone saying that Jamal Adams is the best safety in football again with his third career interception.
Also, don't mock the belt.
Stupid.
What everybody does it, and it never works. I think Tulloch tore his ACL doing it too. Like, why? Why are we doing it?
Any points.
You know who he now has
as
many
shutout,
interceptions as? Jamal Adams has as many career interceptions as Vince Wilfork, baby.
To his credit, he was the only Seahawk to catch a ball in the end zone. So
fair.
I'd celebrate a little bit. He did a Lambeau leap. Do what you got to do.
I'll tell you, that was right in front of us. There's a lot of middle fingers coming down at him.
I imagine they did love it.
I would hope so.
Yeah. Only other notes I have, and again, I talked to Trevor about this a little bit ago. Sent him that video. Seattle's offensive line dropped so damn far before even making contact. So when people start talking about the Packers pressuring Russell Wilson and stuff so much, before the offensive tackle even touched Whitney Merciless, before he touched Preston Smith, it was already counted as a pressure. Like, they would drop 4 steps back and then hit him, which is a disaster. I don't know why. Seattle's bad, man. They're just poorly coached. It's just not good.
You would also think that would be a bad decision with Wilson's finger, right? Like, he hurt it because the defense was in his face, and he hurt it on the follow through. So you would think it would be the other way of them trying to be so far in front.
Not when he rehabs 19 hours a day.
That's true. That's true.
Pete Carroll doesn't even know where he puts his challenge flag.
He's like dropping cell phones and stuff.
It was too funny.
I tweeted a picture of a jitterbug cell phone and said that's what it was. And Sports Illustrated picked it up and put it in their article. And it definitely wasn't that. But whatever. Good for them.
One last takeaway maybe to bring up. The first drive, I don't remember which play it was, that deep pass to MVS, that might have been the happiest I've been. Like, that was huge. Like, obviously nothing came of it. He never really made much of an impact past that in terms of catching the ball, but that just shows you what we missed. I mean, he was wide open too.
Yeah, they tried another one that second drive, but then we didn't even really attempt it the rest of the game. That's something the Packers offense needs. So I hope we go back to it this week for sure. Try to avoid Harrison Smith a little bit. Did you like? Was that when you were awake, or was that when you
That
were
was right when the
sleeping
game
just on your
started.
phone?
Isn't that a good picture?
That is a good picture.
It's the only one he
Okay.
took. It's
It literally is.
Seeing that you were drunk and
Oh.
intoxicated while taking it,
And
that's
the
pretty
tailgating
impressive.
one.
Okay, well,
That's
that's
it.
lovely.
That's all.
Dude, these people pulled up to the tailgate, in this big black van, and I'm there, waving them back, getting to the park. There's 6 seats in there, 12 people compiling out of it. They start putting up their grills and everything. Open the thing, 5 TVs on this van. It was incredible.
Was it Exhibit with Pimp My Ride, or what was
It
it?
was pretty damn close. But so I was sitting there watching the noon
forgot
games while
about
everyone
that.
else was partying.
There you go. That's actually pretty sick.
It was wild, yeah.
They didn't even know
Only
him.
other-
He just got in the vet.
Mhm.
They were like, "Who's this
That's what
guy?"
Luke's learned. If someone asks you to get in the van, you get in the van.
Mhm.
Like, they might have TVs in there. Only other thing I wrote, people are apologizing to Kevin King along with Joe Barry, and people acted like Kevin King was Messiah in this game and last game. He played 20 snaps the entire game. And that was a number I was surprised to see. But like just looking at it, if Jair Alexander was healthy and playing, Kevin King may not have even stepped foot on the field in this game. He started the game, but he was clearly the cornerback 3, I guess 3, 4. They're going with Stokes and they're going with Douglas over him clearly, and he's not playing in the slot anymore. They're not playing him. They're going with Shannon Sullivan. But Kevin King was fine. He was asked to back up every play, and he did exactly that. And he kind of, I guess, hung on to the interception this week too. They counted it, but he almost missed another one.
That should not have been a catch in my opinion. But either way, like everybody's like, "Oh, he got an interception." He backed the wide receiver into a corner, and then like every other cornerback from high school on should do says, "Hey, he can't catch this ball. How about I turn around?" And it was right in his lap, and he still almost screwed it up. People were saying he's the highest PFF grade cornerback. There should be a minimum of snaps you played for that to happen. Like Mason Crosby was the highest graded kicker in the game. That means nothing.
Yeah. He was not, though. He missed another one. I believe in you, Mason. Get back out there. Okay, let's talk about this week. I have the practice report from today. I'm not sure how relevant this practice report is. It sounds like it was a mental day for a lot of people. Aaron Rodgers said it was a mental day for practice, meaning like there's a lot of walkthrough, a lot of stuff like that. If you read the reports from like PFT and stuff like that, I don't know why this is the spin they want to put on it, but they said Aaron Rodgers was out today for mental health. So trying to make him sound like a head case yet again. Surprise, surprise. It's just lazy and ignorant. But Eric Stokes, Daphne, Equinemius, St. Brown all practiced in full. Obviously, Daphne missed last game with a hamstring injury. Sounds like he's going to be back. Same with Equinemius, actually. Limited Devontae Adams with a shoulder. He took a lot of big hits that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm surprised. I'm happy he's good. Rashawn Gary hyperextended his elbow, I believe was the official injury call for that. He's going to play through it, which is great. I guess. He's going to get it all bandaged up and he'll pressure with one arm. I'm sure that'll work. Kingsley Kiki limited with a concussion. Tell me how that makes sense. And then Kevin King listed with a groin and shoulder injury. So, attaboy. Did not participate. Rodgers, Bakhtiari, Aaron Jones, Alan Lazard, Malik Taylor all did not practice. Rodgers is fine. Bakhtiari, I have no idea if he's coming back. They really need him for this game. Jones obviously out. Alan Lazard, Malik Taylor, I expect to be fine. Yeah.
Do you guys remember that game last year when Jordan Reed was playing for Washington and it was his first game back and the Giants were just diving at his knees the whole game and trying to hit him as hard as he could? That's what it seemed like Devontae Adams had to me in this game. It felt
they were coming, man.
It felt like a classic Pete Carroll where let's try to injure their best player so that we can win this game.
Yeah,
I tweeted it out. It got no love, but they play, they whine, they start losing, then they get dirty, as seen by the ejection and everything.
Yeah, it sucks. I want Pete Carroll to go back to college. He's one of the greatest college coaches of all time, in my opinion. NFL, he needs to leave. He's not doing well.
It's going to be interesting seeing Gary with the elbow bandage up. Like, his problem has already been wrapping up and getting the quarterback, and now, like you said, he's down an arm. Is he just going to, like, swat at the ball and just run at him like you do run at a giant bear, arms flailed out? Like Gordon in Dodgeball?
Do you know if it is his right elbow or left?
I think it was his right, because on the play, it looked like he was rolling over.
I think so too. Hopefully the Packers just glue him on the right side of the defensive line so he can use that inside arm. Talking about the genius of Joe Barry, maybe I shouldn't doubt him, but I feel like they're probably going to put him on the left side where he will be useless for anything other than to contain with his outside arm, even though he has no concept of what a contain is. I don't know. I hope he's fine. It's going to be a pain threshold thing. Packers don't use Toradol, so he's going to feel the pain. Like, they're not going to shoot him up. They're not going to do anything like that. So either he'll have a ton of painkillers in him, which is dangerous, or he's going to be feeling the pain the entire game, which is great.
Should we touch on Whitney Merciless?
Yeah, Whitney Merciless out for season. That sucks. He was playing good. That was a good pickup. But again, that makes a linebacking core that's not very deep that much worse, I would say. What do we have? We have a banged up Rashawn Gary. We have Preston Smith. We have Jonathan Garvin. And one other edge guy, right?
Yes.
You never know.
Something
A friend
like
of the program, Oren Burks, could go in there. You never know.
Maybe. I don't think we have Chauncey Billups anymore. I believe he was cut. He was there for a second.
They got my guy. Tipa Galei on the practice squad.
Do they?
Yep.
That's good news. I'm glad to hear that.
If teams roll, if we roll at him and TJ Slayton, the other team's got to watch out, man.
Let's put TJ Slayton on the edge. Let's let him work. See what he can do. A lot more. I haven't looked at free agents.
A lot better breathing when you have less guys around you on the edge.
Fresher air. There's a lot going on in the inside. Yeah, let the guy breathe. I haven't looked at free agents lately. I know somebody like Olivier Vernon is out there. I can't believe he wouldn't sign with somebody soon. That would be a massive pickup. I do believe an edge guy is needed. I know Zadarius Smith should be coming back in a couple weeks. Possibly, like at least before the end of the season. I don't know how much longer we really want to go through this. We need somebody else, so hopefully that is a signing before the end of the week. I don't know.
So I know it's a long time till the draft, but would that be the number one spot for the draft right now?
A quarterback, probably, assuming Aaron Rodgers is gone.
Yeah, probably help.
But
can't wait.
Yeah, especially in this draft, like it's pretty deep on edge rusher. I think that would be good. I would assume we don't keep Devondre Campbell. I would assume he gets paid elsewhere. So assuming that would be a gigantic need, obviously, inside backer. But otherwise,
that hasn't stopped us before from not drafting inside backers.
No, it has not.
You're correct. You are correct. Hey, we got McDuffie, aka Trevor Land, in there. Maybe he can go.
Hey, nobody's ever seen us on the field at the same time.
It's true.
I can't believe I have not been given. But whatever.
Crazy.
I will say, all due respect, I think me and a lot of other people questioned Stokes over Tyson Campbell, his teammate from Georgia, when he was taken in the draft. Mm-hmm. Stokes still has a lot of work to do, obviously. I think he's better than Campbell, and I don't think that's really a question at this point.
That's fair. He's held his own. I hope we never try to put him in press coverage again because he was bad in press in college and he's been bad in press in the NFL. But like his speed is real. Every mistake he makes up for with his speed, which isn't always going to be there, but it is right now. So let's enjoy it while the party's going, I guess. Is there... I don't think there's anything else really to say before talking about this game. So right now, Packers are 2.5-point favorites on the road versus the Vikings. Projected total 49.5. Vikings are obviously coming off a big win versus the Chargers. A surprising win, some may say. Vikings have been super inconsistent. They've looked super good some weeks. They've looked terrible others. And they should be relatively healthy. I think they just lost Danielle Hunter for the year a couple weeks ago. But aside from that, I think they're going to be fine. I think this is a scary game. I think this is probably the toughest game the Packers have played this entire season. And I think we are about to enter a stretch where it gets just as scary. Obviously, at the Vikings, home against the Rams, bye week against the Bears, essentially. There's also a real bye week before that one. Then the Ravens, then the Browns, then the Vikings again. Like I talked earlier, we haven't faced good running attacks, and we're about to. We're about to face some really good runners, running backs, teams who are committed to the run. And now the defense actually gets tested. The middle gets tested. Kenny Clark has been fresh because he hasn't had linemen come off the ball at him. When teams are pounding the rock for 4 quarters, Kenny Clark's not going to be rushing the passer. He's going to be winded, and TJ Slaton's going to have to come in and also hopefully not be winded. So I'm nervous about this game. What about you, Luke?
Yeah, just touching on that schedule, I was going to say, good thing the Packers are, 3.5 games up with 7 left?
Yeah.
Although if they lose this week, it goes down to 2.5 with 6. That's true.
Which is, right, a lot scarier than 3.5 and 7. But, Zach, I agree with you. I think this is going to be a tough game. The Packers Matt LaFleur has definitely fell into this idea of, running the ball and taking as much time, doing what the Saints did to them week 1. I don't know how much you can do with that without Aaron Jones, because Aaron Jones can play, like every single spot on the field he can line up and run at. I think teams can do a lot more to prepare for A.J. Dillon than they can to prepare for Aaron Jones. So I think, we talked about on the Fantasy Football Show, but I think Patrick Taylor is going to need to step up a little bit. You're going to have to give Aaron Jones A.J. Dillon some spells because he's a big dude and he gets hit a lot. Of course, he's strong, but, bigger are they, the harder they fall, right? So I'm wondering if this is a game where the Packers come out and kind of quick pass a little bit more, get Randall Cobb involved a little bit more, get Devontae involved underneath, and then maybe try to air it out a couple times downfield to MVS or Allen Lazard or something like that. But Zach, I agree with you. It's gonna be a tough game, and you're gonna have to stop Dalvin Cook, immediately in order to keep this defense off of the field.
That dink and dunk shit, like that's what establishes a rhythm too.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can get into the rhythm, get a couple first downs with that, slants, bubbles underneath, work, and then run the ball with Dillon. Like that's how you're going to beat the Vikings. Like you're not going to be taking shots over the top at Harrison Smith. That's stupid. So hopefully we don't pull a Russell Wilson and do only that, I guess. Janet, what are your initial thoughts about this game? How are you feeling?
I always feel like games within the same division are kind of like, I don't know, they're always up in the air just because I feel like I've said this before, but they're the teams that they basically study us the most. They play us the most, so they're gonna make sure that they study us. All I want to say is stop the run, because every time Cook gets heated, he just runs us over. He runs up and down that field. And so I'm going to say that I'm not worried about Jefferson too much, just because I feel like what's his face? What's his face? Sorry.
TJ Slaton.
No.
That's who it was.
No, I just feel like shit. I totally forgot his name. I'm like,
A
I
Packer
had
or
a
Viking?
rhythm going right now. Viking.
Adam Thielen.
How the? Sorry, I'm gonna cuss. How the fuck do I forget his name?
Adrian Amos.
Oh,
Adrian
No,
He's a
Peterson.
Viking.
what
Describe
the
him.
fuck?
What's he look like?
He's the
What's
fucking
his star sign?
quarterback.
Oh, Kirk Cousins.
Joe Webb.
Okay.
I was asleep. Yeah, just okay.
Janet, that's okay. A lot of people
That's
forget
not-
about Kirk
The
Cousins.
rage that
That's-
emanated
that's-
from
I wish I could.
He's the fucking quarterback was amazing.
He's a fucking
Tier 1.
quarterback. I think Kirk Cousins is like, I don't know. I don't know what's up with these quarterbacks, man. They're just in a freaking funk. Maybe me too. I was thinking about my kid that farted today. So I'm not
Pretty
worried
comparable
about
to Kirk
Jefferson too
Cousins.
much, just because I think Kirk Cousins has been fucking up a lot lately. I think they're gonna try to run the ball as most as they can, with Cook. So and also, I don't know. I'm just like looking at this right now, just because I don't really give a shit about the Vikings. The fans have been attacking me on Twitter. Apparently, Cook has like some sort of allegations for beating up his girlfriend.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a whole nother story we should probably not even get into. It's so long.
No,
It's a
no,
civil
I
case,
mean,
though.
but like, yeah, it is. But like at the same time, he might be in a funk too. That can fuck with your head. But
I think there's
yeah.
already a lot fucked up with his head, to be fair.
Reportedly his eyes too, after he got maced or whatever.
Life of a running
well,
back.
yeah.
What are you gonna do? You know.
I don't
That's
know.
Dalvin.
I'm just hoping that the Vikings don't show up to this game. Like they just fuck up all the way through.
Yeah.
The
What's your thoughts,
interesting thing
Trevor?
about the Vikings, I didn't watch, obviously, the Vikings LA game. Dalvin got a great matchup with the Chargers. He averaged under 4 yards a carry. And this is a defense that gives up 160 a game as of 2 weeks ago. And it's just, he is up and down. And the team, it seems like every other week, I mean, we talk about this team is inconsistent, but literally week to week. And the other interesting thing, the Packers are 8-2. Obviously, they're 9-1 against the spread, and this spread is -2, which would usually give me confidence. But we saw what happened last year when the Packers were, I don't want to say rolling, but doing well, and the Vikings were garbage. They came to our house and they made us their bitch, plain and simple. They know Rodgers. I think Barr and Breland being questionable, both of them, I'd assume they both play. Those are pretty big injuries to keep a watch on.
Yeah, I'll look up the Vikings injury report here in a second just to see if there's a little bit more information about it. Doesn't look like they're too upset. Patrick Peterson designated to return this week, so he could be back for them as well. I would assume he would be, just because that makes the most sense. Yeah, but I would assume Barr, like, he's limited. There's other people who didn't practice at all, so I think he's gonna be fine. To your point about the Vikings making us their bitch, that was the game in which Dalvin Cook ran for 163 yards, scored 3 touchdowns on the ground, had 63 receiving yards, and another touchdown. Like, we
And did a
clearly
Lambo
couldn't
leap.
stop him. Yeah.
And did a Lambo leap.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I don't
He's
forget
too much of a
those.
bitch to do it
That's
when
what
there are
I don't
fans there.
forget.
True. He's been great against the Packers. He had a 150-yard rushing day last year against us as well. He has scored 7 touchdowns against us in the past 3 games. He's clearly the guy that needs to be stopped. I agree with Janet that I'm not nervous about Justin Jefferson, really. I think he's going to be a decoy, to be completely honest, for a lot of the game, unless we just completely don't respect him and leave him alone. I'm nervous about Adam Thielen. I feel like he always kills the Packers as well. And then the Vikings defense is really good at applying pressure. They're not great at defending the pass, but If we can't protect Rodgers, then that's where it gets scary. But again, that goes to the point with Luke. Maybe we should dink and dunk. That's how you beat the blitz. You just pass right behind the blitz. So I don't know. This is going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tricky game. Luke, do you have a specific key to the game, like what the Packers need to focus on here?
I mean, I think I mentioned it. I think, Zach, we've hit it home here. It's kind of the dink and dunk. Like I said, I don't know that you can rely on A.J. Dillon being the workhorse in this game. I'm scared of Minnesota's linebackers, especially if Anthony Barr plays. I think they're fast, quick. They can get to the ball. They can fly around the field. So that obviously hurts the run game. But, you get them to cheat up a little bit. You hit Devontae Adams, you hit Randall Cobb behind them. I think, exposing the middle of the field, I think, is going to be huge. Getting receivers into open positions against zone, stuff like that, just kind of tearing them from middle then out to the outside would be my key for the Packers' victory here.
I agree. Janet, what's your main key for the Packers to get a win here?
Just to stop Cook. That would probably be the only thing, just because he's the one that won the game for them the last time.
Yeah. Literally, they've scored 28 points and they were all his touchdowns. So
exactly. So as long as they keep him from running down that field, that's all they really need, honestly.
Here's hoping. Trevor, what's your thoughts?
I'm gonna go a little off script. I think the key to the game is stopping Tyler Conklin. I think they're going to have trouble with Cook. I think they're going to have trouble with Thielen. I think once they get into the red zone, I think what Minnesota is going to do is the Packers are finally going to zone in on those guys so much. And like we saw against Kansas City, they're not going to be paying too much attention to Conklin. Conklin this past week, only 3 receptions for 11 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. He's getting more usage. They're perfectly fine throwing to him in the red zone, although he doesn't have much touchdowns. Many touchdowns. We know the Packers struggle against tight ends. It's one of those things where at the end of the drive, the Packers just, it's like, you did everything but that. And it just feels like Conklin is that guy. If they let him turn those field goal attempts into touchdowns, it's going to be too close of a game for them to be able to do that.
I think that's a good call. In the same way that the Packers defense has thrived with taking away like the deep shots and then just sitting on everything, like there's underneath shit open. It's the same thing. It's just the same thing in this game. The underneath stuff's going to be open again. To your point in the red zone, it seems to be Conklin getting that red zone work underneath in between the 20s. It's KJ Osborne for them in the slot. So that would be a Chandon Sullivan cover. And he did pretty good last week. Not that he had to really cover anybody, but he did fine. But they need to stop that underneath shit. My main key, like I say it a lot, winning at the point of attack in both cases, but specifically, they need to win between the guards on defense. They need to win that interior battle. Packers have done decently well rallying to the football. Obviously, tackling is a little bit suspect. But if they can at least plug up the middle on runs and make Dalvin Cook bounce it. And then we talked about how collapsing a pocket really makes quarterbacks struggle because they can step in. If you collapse the pocket on Kirk Cousins, he's going to mess up. Like, he's just not that good of a quarterback. He's fine with a clean pocket, with a broken pocket. Kirk Cousins is going to make some bad mistakes. He's going to make some bad throws. Yeah. That just needs to be the case. And I think TJ Slayton's been playing pretty damn good, too. If we can rotate both of them a lot, I think that's good. My worry is now that the edge is so much weaker. Like, Rashawn Gary isn't great at setting the edge. And if he has one good arm, he's going to be worse at setting the edge, especially if the hurt arm is on the outside. It's going to be so much easier for that lineman to hook them or the tight end to come crashing down. And you don't have Whitney Merciless, who's been great against the run. Preston Smith's a stud. I think he's fine. But we need somebody else, man. It's concerning.
We're playing in a stadium, piped in air. That's clean, fresh air. That's a Tadaro Slayton game.
He's going to hear those Viking horns and stuff like that too. He's going to make
I
him
was
think he's
about
on
to
the
say-
water in Florida. He's going to be good to go. A lot
The
of
only-
Vikings in Florida, I'm sure.
Are you sure it's clean air if they're spitting all their COVID and through
That's
the
what I was
horn?
gonna say.
Nothing is clean in Minnesota. The people, the air, nothing.
Prince,
We need
Well,
to
I
have a talk
apologize
after
to
the
Prince
show,
and
Luke.
nobody else.
Prince may have passed on, Luke. We need to have a talk after the show.
yeah, I know.
It's tough stuff. I know. Going to predictions. I'll start, and I'm sure people kind of got my vibe this entire show. I think the Vikings are going to win this game. I think it's going to be close, as every Vikings game is. I just think Dalvin Cook's too good, and I think the Packers are getting a little bit too relaxed, a little bit too confident, and I think they're going to be stuck in their ways. And if they keep doing the same things that has been working, like that makes sense to keep repeating the things that have been working. I think the Vikings are good enough and built correctly to beat that. I think Rodgers should have more success this week, though. I'm going to go with a lower scoring close game, the Vikings winning 23-21. I really hope I'm wrong. Luke, what about you?
Zach, I'm in the same boat with you, same explanation. 17-14 Minnesota.
Janet?
I actually have 21-14 Packers. I kind of think they're going to win. I don't know. I feel it.
They should.
I hope so.
Trevor?
But they
I
won't.
hope it. I hope it's a game though. I don't want to fall asleep during first quarter again.
Oh, you will. And then that horn will wake you up and you'll have flashbacks.
Yeah, you won't be able to fall asleep.
I hope they win.
Nightmares.
I don't think they will. And I actually had it made up my mind before too. I think it's 23-19. I think Zach was extremely close with his. I 100% agree. It just feels like a game. And if this team is rusty on offense, like even for just a quarter, it's over. It's over. It's not that the Vikings are that good. I just think this Packers defense isn't good enough. And as we see with Wisconsin football running the ball, when you constantly run and run and run, you run the guys into the ground, they're just going to get gassed.
This is also a team you can't get behind in against. Like, if you get the Vikings playing with a lead, they're not going to get away from the run against the Packers with a lead. Like, they're just going to keep it going. Maybe they bring CJ Ham in to block a little bit and run Alexander Madison in to just keep Dalvin Cook fresh a little bit. Like, this could be a game. Dalvin Cook, I believe, had 30 carries last time against the Packers. Yeah, 30. He could approach that again, which is a scary thought.
This could be the game that saves Zimmer's job, like for another few weeks, I think.
I hope so. Hey, if that's the trade-off, we get Zimmer in the division for a few more years. I'll take the loss for that. That's great.
So,
I mean,
Trevor,
Pete Carroll threw a phone, and he still has his job. He threw a phone on the field, jitterbug phone.
Trevor, we have two running backs injured. There's a running back that both of us like that's a free agent.
Hell
that
yeah.
hasn't been talked about lately with Zach. Referring to Todd Gurley, would be very fun to have in this offense.
Oh,
Or hear me out. Frank Gore boxes Saturday.
No, knocked out.
He knocks Darren Williams out. He says, you know what? I got a little left in me. Comes to Green Bay Sunday and says, I'm feeling 2 touchdowns today.
that's the only thing that can repair my heart after Blake Bortles was cut this week. If you can get Frank Gore in a Packers jersey, I'm gonna. Like I said, if Frank Gore ever comes to the Packers, I will frame his jersey. I will be so excited.
If Frank Gore comes to the Packers, Zach is buying 3 stocks in the Packers. Facts.
No. Sure, whatever. I don't care. Sure, whatever.
Yes, we got it on film, tape, video, audio, MP3, MP4.
Yeah, it's on my Zune.
Zune. Zach, you brought up Zune and Jitterbug tonight, and that's 2 memories I forgot that I had.
I don't know what Zune is.
Did you download it on LimeWire?
You're right.
Yeah. LimeWire was,
I know what
that was a
LimeWire
risk.
is, but you guys lost.
Never know what you're gonna get. Fair share and LimeWire and yeah.
You guys are too old. Give it the
I
time,
guess so.
Trevor, I think we're the same age.
Running back. Yeah, you two are for sure.
Shut up, Luke.
Running back I was interested in, like during this entire Frank Gore story that I think makes sense. Like I feel like LaShawn McCoy could be a decent swap for Aaron Jones. Like we need a shiftier guy to come in. Duke Johnson's available too. I think that one makes sense. But shit, like I'll take a LaShawn McCoy. He's just not a guy that you would pick up and then cut as soon as your guy becomes healthy again. And thankfully, Aaron Jones should. I would assume they said 1 to 2 weeks. I don't know why the Packers would bring him back before the bye week. I assume he comes back then. But there's decent guys out there. We'd love to sign Christian Michael. Sign him up. I don't care.
Mhm.
Like I feel like he's always in consideration for the Packers.
Runs with the head
Weren't
straight down and spears offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Weren't we talking? Weren't there talks about LaShawn McCoy coming to Green Bay when he signed with Tampa, if I remember correctly?
I mean, everyone's been rumored to Green Bay just to like appease the
Yeah.
fans. Like, oh, we're in it.
True.
We're in consideration. Same with OBJ, which reportedly he wanted to go to LA since he got traded to Cleveland. So that whatever.
Good.
Shout out to the
Look
guy who
what
said that-
happened. They got
Yeah.
bashed again.
Shout out to the guy who
he's
said
cursed.
that Mark Murphy was the reason that Odell Beckham
Yeah.
Jr. didn't come to Green Bay.
Dipshit. Him and Florio can go, do it. I'm not going to say it. We're recorded. I'm not going to say that. But you can paint your own picture however you want it.
I mean, I'll blame Mark Murphy. I'm not against it. If we need a scapegoat, I think Murphy's the guy.
Hey,
I like it.
hold up. They said ownership, right? Janet's an owner now. So Janet is the one who we can blame for the OBJ situation.
I did it on
Unfortunately,
purpose.
unfortunately,
I told him
Murphy
he couldn't
speaks on
sit with
behalf
us.
of the owners.
That's true. That's true.
I told him
I'm
when
still
he was
gonna
here.
blame her,
I
though.
said, don't do it.
Yeah.
I said, don't do it.
Oh,
I told him.
Tell him to bring Jimmy Graham back, and I'll be happy.
Jesus.
No, not
Yeah, that's
Mickey
what we
Mouse
need.
gloves. Not Mickey Mouse gloves. No.
We'll put Jimmy Graham at the end.
He'd be better there than at tight end, I think.
Or just
whatever.
tell John Horst to sign him to the Bucs, and we'll be good.
He'd get some hurry.
Anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here?
Yeah, I lied to you guys. I told you Sister Jean was number 3 on my shit list. She's actually number 4.
Okay.
Did you
What do we
forget or
got?
did you move somebody else up?
I forgot that
Who's 3?
number 3 is Perkins.
Okay, I'm on board.
Wait,
Kendrick
like the
Perkins,
restaurant
that's
or Kendrick Perkins?
The restaurant.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
I did not see that
Perkins.
coming. I thought Kendrick Perkins as well.
Nope, the
Interesting.
restaurant.
What's
Perkins do to you?
What's your beef with the Perkins?
This is
Perkins-
going to be the title too.
Perkins calls themselves a you know how they're supposed to have like a bakery and stuff like that, and they're different than
They do.
everywhere else because they make pies and crap. Well, they don't make
They say
bagels.
that?
They don't serve bagels. I went in there one time and I wanted a bagel with cream cheese. I asked 4 times. They ignored me on the first 3, and the 4th one they did not give it to me. About a week later, the restaurant went out of business in La Crosse, which makes sense because they don't sell enough bagels. But yeah,
Okay.
and bagel and cream cheese is like my favorite food.
But were you
Two
like,
things
in
here.
the bakery?
Yes.
I get
Were
it.
you there?
Two-
Or did you have a Red Bull and vodka and you
No.
were like somewhere
It was
else?
it was Sunday morning.
Okay. Now
It could
3
be
questions.
Sunday morning and you could still
Yeah.
have a Red Bull and vodka.
3 questions. 1, why were you in a Perkins on Sunday morning? 2,
We were-
after the 3rd time of being ignored, why'd you think they'll hear me now? And 3, why do you go to Perkins for a bagel? Why?
Okay. So
Those are good questions.
I'll answer all of them right here. It was in La
Right
Crosse.
here, right now.
I was in college. My friends were in town, and we were out the night before, and like, okay, let's go get breakfast somewhere. All the nice mom and pop, all those shops were all full because I think it was Oktoberfest maybe, and so Perkins was a choice.
They probably had bagels too.
They do have bagels. Marge's on Rose. If anyone's in La Crosse, great bagels. But
Of course.
so we went there. Not busy at all. They served the whole table. They started with me, asked for a bagel. She said, "What did you say?" I said, "Bagel." "What did you say?" "Bagel." "What did you say?" I'm like,
So shut your whore mouth.
Yeah,
you don't
so I'm
speak that word here.
I'm like, all right, give me some bacon. So then she made her rounds. I said, "You know I was saying bagel, right?" And she said, "Oh yeah, we don't have bagels here." I said, "You're a bakery. How do you not have bagels?"
Probably because you were being rude.
I wasn't.
You said you're a bakery. How do you not have bagels? I feel like
Well, yeah,
that's
after
kind
the
of a
fourth
shot.
time I'd ask for a goddamn bagel.
Okay, so who's 2?
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook.
How is that? How
Okay,
is Perkins
okay.
1 bagel encounter 3?
And then
Go on to number 1.
Russell Westbrook for because he's the most overrated player in NBA history. He's not good at anything in the NBA. And number 1 is Coach K for obvious reasons.
Okay. Coach K also no bagels, so I
Right.
think there's a trend.
Also,
Coach K hates bagels? Question mark.
also supports underage drunk driving.
That's true.
He does. Advocate.
You know who probably
This was
also
enlightening.
supports drunk driving? Perkins.
Right? That must have been why they went out of business.
All those drunk drivers took all their
They
bagels.
could have had a bagel to sober up.
But really, though, shout out to Marge's on Rose Street in La Crosse. Great food for cheap.
That's the takeaway here.
How much did they pay
Shout
you
out to
for
Marge's.
that?
Nothing.
Yeah.
1 cream cheese bagel.
I would do it.
Luke stands up and he has a Marge's t-shirt on. Like everything comes full circle. This was great. Thank you, Luke. And I'm sorry Perkins wronged you. Jana has left. She is headed to Perkins for some bagels. She's going to be disappointed, I think. Oh, there she is.
Yep.
Okay, so this was Lombardi sweep. I think Jana's getting taken down by her dog. Okay, we will be back next week. Hopefully, 3 of us were wrong about the Packers game. Hopefully, they come up with a victory. But yeah, we'll be back then. Later.
Peace.